So hello students, I am sure you are safe, happy at your home and you must be going through my lectures for understanding of chemistry. Now in the continuing chapter that we was discussing in our previous lecture, IUPAC naming, I am here to continue same topic. In my previous lecture, I told you the need of IUPAC system and a basic framework of IUPAC name. I told you that there are large number of carbon compounds and this number is so large that compounds of all other elements cannot compete with it. So giving a separate name to all these compounds was a quite difficult job. So a system was being devised, a set of rules are being given. By applying that, one can find out the name from the structure of given compound and vice versa. One can draw the structure from the given name. So that is what is IUPAC system. It was the need, and IUPAC system is termed as substitutive nomenclature. It is called as substitutive nomenclature because in this system a compound is supposed to be derived from some hydrocarbon. So in first step we identify the parent hydrocarbon from which the compound is being obtained. We write the name of that very hydrocarbon and we also mention suffix and prefix to this name so that entire name is obtained. That is why we call it substitutive nomenclature. Let me take a very simple example. This is this CH3 is ethane and this CH3CH2OH is ethanol. So while we are naming this compound ethanol, we presume that it was basically this ethane, and from ethane it has came to this form by replacement of one hydrogen here by this OH group. So we write the name ethane and we add this part by a suffix ol. So name ethanol is obtained. That is what is the meaning of substitutive nomenclature. Then I had told you various components of an IUPAC name. Prefix, root word, suffix 1 and suffix 2. So these two are the essential components. They represent the name of parent hydrocarbon and these two are auxiliary components which represents the modifications from that parent compound to the current compound. So these two components they must be present in any name. They may be present, may not be present, that depends on the structure of compound. Root word represents number of carbon atoms in the given chain: meth, eth, pro, but, pent, hex, hept, oct, non, dec. And suffix 1 represents the nature of selected parent chain or parent compound. If it is saturated, all carbon atoms are joined together with the help of carbon-carbon single bond, then it is called ene. If even one double bond is present, then we call it ene. And if even one triple bond is present, then we call it yne, Y-N-E. Then prefix represents substituents that are present in the given compound, and suffix represents function groups that are present in the given compound. So up to this I had already told you. Now in this module we will learn what is the procedure and what are the rules by which we can write the name of a given organic compound. Although some of the rules I had already told you in class 10th, but here, as there was a limited number of compounds, limited functionalities were there, so only in this class we are going to add some new rules. Old rules remain to be used here also. There are three basic steps that should be followed for writing name of any given organic compound. First is selection of longest and continuous chain of carbon atoms, which is called as parent chain. Number 2, numbering of this parent chain, and third, writing the name of compound. And apart from these three rules, there is a fourth unsaid rule, that all these first three rules should be used in this sequence only. So first step is selection of parent chain. Number 2, second step is numbering of parent chain, and third is naming of given organic compound. So these are the three steps that should be followed for the naming of any organic compound. First step is the selection of parent chain. Second step is the numbering of parent chain. Third step is the naming of given organic compound. As I told you, that IUPAC system of naming is also called as substitutive nomenclature, in which we suppose that given organic compound was basically a hydrocarbon, and in its current form it has came by replacement of one or more hydrogen atoms of that parent hydrocarbon, and that is how this first step enables us to identify that parent hydrocarbon. In second step, we identify the modifications that are present in that compound, and finally we get the name. Now let us try to understand all these steps one by one. And as I told you that there is unsaid rule also, all these rules should be used in this sequence only. Whenever we come across an organic compound for which we need to write the name, then we should first identify its parent chain. Then in second step, we number this parent chain, and in third step we write the name. So what are the rules for identifying parent chain? First rule is that longest and continuous chain of carbon atoms is selected, whether it is a straight chain or it is a zigzag chain. Say for example, we have a compound like this. So herein we have one chain and we have another chain. In this chain there are only 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon atoms. And in this chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon atoms. So this chain having 5 carbon atoms is selected as parent chain. So we take a longest and continuous chain of carbon atoms. Whether it is straight chain, fine. It is zigzag chain, okay, no problem. But we must choose a longest and continuous chain. Continuous means if any other atom except carbon is present, then chain is broken. Say for example, we have a compound like this, CCCOCC. So this is carbon, 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 but this is oxygen. So only chain up to this is taken into consideration. These two carbons which are after oxygen, they will not be taken as a part of compound. So a longest and continuous chain of carbon atoms is to be considered, whether it is a straight chain or it is a zigzag chain, no problem. First thing. So this is the first rule. Then we come to the next rule. If compound contains a functional group that also has got a carbon atom in it, then carbon atom of functional group should also be included in the chain, and it should also be counted for chain length. Carbon atom of functional group cannot be excluded. Say for example, I have a compound wherein we have this type of chain. So here this is the functional group, carboxylic acid group which is present, and this should be the longest chain. Out of confusion, most of the time we choose this chain. No, if given compound has got a functional group which also has got a carbon atom, then carbon atom of functional group also be included in the parent chain. Parent chain is of 5 carbon atoms, not 4 carbon atoms. There are many functional groups that contains carbon. CHO, CO, COOH, CONH2, COX, and so on. CM. So there are many functional groups which also contains a carbon atom. So the carbon atom of functional group should also be included in the chain and is counted for the chain length. Third, if compound contains a multiple bond, that is either it has got a double bond or it has got a triple bond, then these bonds should also be included in the, must be included in the chain. You cannot exclude a carbon-carbon multiple bond. And if a compound has got two multiple bonds, two double bonds, two triple bonds, one double bond, one triple bond, both of them should be chosen as a parent chain, even if it is not the longest chain. Even if it is not the longest chain. So if there is only one multiple bond, only one double bond, or only one triple bond, then all double bonds and triple bonds must be included in the chain. And if there are more than one double bond, say for example it has got two double bonds, say for example it has got three double bonds, it has got two triple bonds, then both of these bonds must be included in the chain, whether it is a longest chain or not. Let me give you one example. Say for example, we have a compound like this, C double bond C, and double bond C. So say for example we have this type of compound wherein two double bonds are present, and if we choose this as a parent chain, then we have got a chain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbon atoms. And if we choose this as a parent chain, then we have got a carbon chain of 5 carbon atoms. So in ordinary case, we tend to choose the longest and continuous chain of carbon atoms. But herein, where two double bonds are present, both double bonds should be included in the chain. Although it is not longest chain, the number of carbon atoms when we include both double bonds in this chain is only 5. But if I exclude one double bond, then it is 6. Even then, we will choose this carbon atom as a parent chain. So these are the some of the common rules that are used for the selection of parent chain. First, longest and continuous chain of carbon atoms is selected, whether it is a straight chain or it is a zigzag chain, no problem. Condition is that it should be longest. Longest means having largest number of carbon atoms, and it should be continuous, means what? That in between the chain no heteroatom should be present. In organic chemistry, all other elements except carbon and hydrogen are called as heteroelements, different elements. So this chain, this parent chain that I am selecting, it should contain only carbon atoms. If any other atom like oxygen, sulfur, nitrogen, phosphorus, anything, if it is present, then chain should stop before it. So continuous and longest chain is selected. Next, if compound has got a functional group which also has got a carbon atom, then that carbon atom should also be included in the chain and counted for the chain length. So this is next rule. And if compound has got multiple bonds, if it has got a double bond, it has got a triple bond, then these multiple bonds should also be included in the parent chain. And if compound has more than one multiple bond, If two double bonds are present, as I had explained in this example, then both double bonds should be included in the chain even if it is not longest one. So these are the rules for the selection of longest chain or parent chain. So what is the second step? Second step of IUPAC naming is numbering of parent chain. Now as soon as we had selected the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms, that is parent chain, we immediately realize that what are the modifications present in the compound, means what sort of functional group or groups are present, what are the substituent or substituents are present in given compound, or compound is simple, there is no substituent or no functional group is present. So after the selection of parent chain, three conditions are observed. Three conditions are observed. Number one, compound neither has a functional group nor it has got a substituent. And if this sort of compound is encountered, then numbering can be done from the either of the side of the chain. Here the purpose of numbering is only to find out the root word. Say for example, I have got a compound like this, CH3, CH2, CH3. So this is the longest chain or parent chain, and if I look closely at this parent chain, I found that there is neither a functional group present nor a substituent is present. So whether I number it from this side 1, 2, 3 or I number it from this side from left to right or right to left, that does not make any difference. And in these type of compounds, purpose of numbering is only to count the root word. So it can be counted from either of the sides. Now there is another possibility that compound has got a functional group or it has got a substituent, and in that case numbering should be done from that side which gives lower number to substituent or to functional group. Say for example, I have got a compound like this, CH3, CH2, CH2, Br, or I have got a compound like this, OH, CH2, CH2, CH3. So in this case, this is the longest chain or this is parent chain, and after identifying this parent chain, I see this substituent present. So numbering should be done from right to left, because this gives one number to this position is of this substituent is 1, but if I number it from left to right, then position is 3. So this numbering is correct and this numbering is wrong. In this compound, this is the longest chain, and after selection of this parent chain, I realized that there is a functional group present. So if I number it from left to right, its position of functional group is 1, but if it is numbered from right to left, its position is 3. So this numbering is correct and this numbering is wrong. So if compound contains either a functional group or a substituent, then it should be numbered from that side which gives least number to their positions. Now there is another case in which compound contains both. It contains a functional group as well as it also contains a substituent. Say for example, it has got a compound like this: CH3, CH2, CH2, CH2 and OH. So what I will do as a first step? In first step, I will try to identify the parent chain, and once I identified the parent chain, I realize that there is a substituent, and there is a functional group. So if this is the situation, compound has got both a functional group as well as a substituent, then it should be numbered from that side which gives least number to the functional group. In this case, position of substituent is ignored. It must be numbered from the side from which it gives least number to the substituent. So for the numbering of parent chain, there are three possible conditions. One, neither functional group nor substituent is present. Second condition, either functional group or substituent is present. And third, both are present. So if there is only, if first condition is there, in given compound neither there is a substituent nor there is a functional group, then numbering can be done from any side, and herein purpose of numbering is only to identify the root word. If this second condition is there, in given compound either there is a functional group or there is a substituent, then numbering must be done from that side which gives least number, which gives lower number to positions of either functional group or to the substituent. But if given compound has got both, means in given compound there is a functional group and there is a substituent both present, then position of substituent is ignored. It should be numbered from that side which gives least number to the functional group. And after doing these two things, we come to the third step, naming of the compound. For naming of the compound, two things should be kept in the mind: that all four components of the IUPAC name of compound should be written in the same sequence as I told you there. First we write prefix, then root word, then suffix 1, then suffix 2. Whatsoever component is absent, that is omitted. Say for example, prefix is not present. Then we start with root word, then we write suffix 1, then we write suffix 2. Say for example, functional group is not present. Then we start with prefix, then we write root word, then we write suffix 1. Say for example, both are not present, then we only write root word and suffix 1. Second, if suffix 2 starts with a vowel, then letter E present in the last of suffix 1, that is in an, ane, in, ene and yne is not written. Only an, en or yn is written. So in my next lecture, I will tell you the rules that should be kept in the mind while writing the name of a given organic compound, and we do certain practice also. By the time, I request you to raise your queries if there are any in the classroom, and stay home, stay safe. Thank you.